Elsewhere, attorneys for Tom Brady filed a request for a new hearing in front of the entire 13-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, arguing that the decision against Brady will harm not just NFL players, but all unionized workers who have bargained for appeal rights. Today marks day 492 since the beginning of Deflategate. Oh, Skip.
Oh, Molly.
How do you see this playing out?
I'm going to tell you how I want to see this play out.
I think we all know that.
Honestly, I want to see Tom Brady fight this all the way to the Supreme Court, and obviously I want to see Tom Brady win this at the highest judicial level in this land. And I remind you, as we mentioned yesterday, Tom Brady's new counsel, Ted Olson, former Solicitor General, has argued 62 cases in front of the Supreme Court, and he has won 75% of them. So I thought about what you said on the show yesterday a lot last night. You said that you were tired of seeing Tom Brady act selfish in this case, right? Is that fair? Was that the right word to use, selfish? And you know what? That's exactly not the case here. Because if I'm any other NFL player paying my NFL Players Association dues, I am thanking my lucky stars that Tom Brady has had the resolve and the tenacity and, in the end, the willingness to fight this to the legal death, as I told you he would from the start. Because in the end, this is about defeating Roger Goodell's absolute and sometimes abusive power. You know this, and I know this. And if Tom Brady could go to the highest level, it's going to cost him hundreds and hundreds of hours of preparation for all these cases.
Of course, his lawyers, that he ain't preparing for.
No, he has to. Trust me. You
trust me.
This before.
I've been through it too.
I know, and you know how it goes. You have to. You know, you have to be interrogated and interviewed.
It is annoying. It is annoying. It's absolutely
trust
annoying.
me, Tom Brady's done. He's done more than his share of this.
I want to cuss everybody out when I got to waste my time with that nonsense.
But if Tom Brady could beat Roger Goodell at the highest level, you know and I know what would happen. Pandora's box would be flung wide open, and all of a sudden the commissioner's absolute, unquestioned, unrestricted power could be questioned for the first time ever. And I would love that, to see that happen. This is so much more than just Tom Brady's legacy he's defending. It's about attacking that absolute power.
Well, you view it that way. I can understand that. I don't. I do think Tom Brady is being selfish. Because I don't think it's about his guilt or innocence, and I don't think he cares. I really don't. I think this is all about Tom Brady making sure that he doesn't miss any games. He loves the game of football. He doesn't want to be gone for 4 games, all right? And even
not when you think you're innocent.
Even a 1-game suspension in his eyes would attach a level of guilt to him.
Sure.
And that's not
it is about his
that's not something that he's trying to do. That's fair enough. But again, I am one of those people who believes. He knows that people who believes he's guilty are going to believe it. People who don't believe he's guilty are not going to believe it. And then there are people in between, like me, who firmly believe it's much ado about nothing. He should have never received 4 games at all. But at the same time, don't tell me you had nothing, you had no knowledge whatsoever the football's being deflated. I don't believe that for one second. You may not have initiated it, you may not have instigated it, but you benefited from it and you knew you were doing it. That's my belief with Tom Brady.
Okay, and I believe just the opposite, just for the record.
That's fine. Having said all of that, at some point in time, when you consider the millions of dollars this is costing the players over this, instead of you just cutting your losses and moving forward, that's fine. You don't want to do it. That is your right. Still makes you selfish, in my opinion, but it is what it is. Now let me get to your bigger point. When you talk about challenging the league, let me say this to you, Skip Bayless. And I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with that. All I'm saying is be very, very careful what you wish for. Because you see, whether it's Ray Rice or it's the Greg Hardy, which obviously is totally different than this, because Tom Brady has never been associated with anything so egregious. The fact of the matter is that those issues were off-the-field issues that didn't necessarily involve the league, but they players that are under the umbrella, and everybody's vilifying Roger Goodell because of how they handled it. That's not their level of expertise, but football is. And the #1 job of a commissioner in any sport is to to protect the integrity of the sport and the game. When you sit down at collective bargaining negotiations, whether it's prior to years ago when you had a special master, a judge appointed by the court overseeing collective bargaining negotiations and interpreting the CBA language, or whether it's the league itself, somebody has to have dominion. And the owners, who are the ones who cut the checks, have dominion. And they appoint the commissioner, and they're the ones who pay the commissioner. And so when everybody talks about how, you know, to challenge Roger Goodell and to strip him of his power, let's be careful, ladies and gentlemen, what we're asking for. Because if indeed you pull off getting what you want, where the union gets to argue and engage in plausible deniability about everything, dudes being potheads, can't stay off the weed, domestic violence, drugs, DUIs, and all of this other stuff, albeit a small percentage of the league, maybe about 3 to 4% of it, not most, not all. The bottom line is they'll argue for anybody. They'll argue on behalf of anybody. When it comes to some of these unions, there appears to be no core decency as to saying, well, you know what? We can't defend this. There's no way to argue this. We're going to let this go. No, everything's a fight. So when you get what you want, remember what you're asking for. I don't want to hear no whining or moaning down the line, because I'll be listening to you. You understand? I'll know where you are, and I'll be listening. And I'll be saying, wait a minute, I don't want to hear anything. I want to hear the nonsense, all right, when the commissioner doesn't have the power, if it indeed, I don't believe it's going to come to that, because I believe Tom Brady's going to lose. But if a miracle was to happen and he was to win, and the commissioner indeed gets stripped of that power, and everything turns into a fight where it's fattening the wallets of lawyers representing the union, and the union gets to argue about everything down to the color of your shoelaces, for crying out loud, and the commissioner is stripped of that power, I don't want to hear any whining when we look at the sport disintegrating before our very eyes because anarchy and chaos takes place. I'm not.
Disintegration before our very eyes.
Let me tell you what I mean. I believe, and I've always been this guy, there must be order.
I got it.
There must be order.
There cannot be a bully commissioner who, with extremely flimsy evidence, tries to ruin the reputation of the best quarterback.
But what is he bullying? And let me tell you something else that you haven't considered. Let me tell you something right now. Tom Brady could do what he wants to do. There's a whole lot of dirt. Hold on. Directors in my ear, wait. Let me tell you something. Tom Brady is sitting up there. There's a lot of dirt in New England. And when you go this far,
when you
go this far, you may very well be digging up Pandora's box that's going to affect a whole lot of people. Tom Brady was there benefiting off of the transgressions, of the alleged transgressions of others.
They weren't his transgressions.
How do you know? How do you know? You sure?
I think I know.
You don't know.
Okay, how do you know? Wait. How do you know? Are you accusing Tom Brady of being complicit in Spygate?
No. Here's what I will directly accuse Tom Brady of. Directly, Tom Brady benefited from any alleged transgressions that may have taken place. It may very well have contributed to his greatness. You go ahead and keep opening the door.
So let's protect the great head coach at the expense of the great.
Talk about the head coach.
There's a little bit of a warning
talk about the head coach. It could be others.
If you dig, you find dirt.
All right?
Told me that
How about
years
that?
ago.
Keep digging. Keep digging.
All right. Back to the NBA playoffs, shall we? Day 492 or whatever we are. Are the Warriors done if they lose tonight? Somebody at the desk doesn't think so. Stick around to hear what Steph Curry and the Dubs could still come back potentially from down 3 games to 1.